It's no secret, the ad tech industry is complicated to maneuver without an expert-level knowledge on, well, everything, which is typically why most publishers choose to work with a partner like Playwire. Today we're discussing a specific challenge of the industry that many publishers probably don't even know currently exists: price floor management and the impact it has on your CPMs. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm part of the marketing team here at Playwire, and to help us navigate today's discussion, we have with us Playwire Chief Technology Officer, Nick Brandstatter.
Thanks for having me, Tiffany.
Nice to see you, Nick. Over the past year, we recognized that we had a rather large opportunity to increase publisher revenue, and it's surrounding a challenge that many publishers may not even be familiar with. Can you explain what that was?
Well, we built the price floor controller because we realized that there was something that our publishers were really having a challenge with, and that was understanding how to price their inventory. I think a lot of publishers don't even necessarily think about what they're doing as creating a product for use by advertisers, but that's really from the advertiser's perspective of what's going on, and that's really important when you're trying to get as much revenue from that product as possible. You have to understand it as that, and you have to understand how to price it. But if you're a publisher, do you have any expertise in doing so? Do you have tools to allow you to do that? The reality is that most publishers, if they establish any sort of price at all, they might set one price forever for all of their inventory and then forget it, walk away, never taking into account what time of year it is, whether the inventory is based on a user who's in Germany or Estonia rather than somebody who's based in the United States, whether that user has cookies running on their browser. There are all sorts of things that publishers weren't necessarily taking into account, but that are really important from an advertiser perspective. Advertisers pay attention to a lot of things when they're deciding how to value your inventory. And if you're not paying attention to those same things, the advertisers may take advantage of you as a publisher. They may find opportunities to buy really valuable views, but do so at a price that's the same as you're charging for, you want to think about it this way, but still your, quote, worst user. So having recognized that, Playwire stepped in and said, we need to do better for our publishers.
With that said, we recently unveiled a new feature of our RAM platform, the Price Floor Controller, or the PFC, to help mitigate these issues. Can you go into a little bit more detail regarding why we decided to build this product and why others in the ad space haven't been able to?
So Playwire stepped in and said, okay, we have the opportunity to build an enormous data warehouse. We're collecting data all the time already about how users are interacting with advertising, how buyers are spending on that advertising. What are the situations where advertisers are choosing to spend more or less money? And we said we can put together all of that data and we can attach our own learnings through our yield ops team, who has so many years of experience understanding what buyers want and how to apply pricing. But on top of that, we can apply some new techniques around machine learning, and we think we can build something really powerful that's going to make it so that pricing can be very accurate and can be very timely. So why haven't other people in the advertising space solved this before? It's really a combination of things. One, the tools haven't been there. If you are a Google Ad Manager user, for example, you might be familiar with the fact that you can only set about 200 different price floors within that system. That's nowhere near enough if you want to get particular enough to keep advertisers from taking advantage of you, frankly. Second, you have to have a group of people who are spending time day in and day out really looking at data and understanding how buyers are behaving, understanding what are the changes in the marketplace, what it is that buyers might not have prized before that now they're paying attention to. We have a whole yield ops team that's dedicated to that practice, and they spend all of their time running experiments, combing through the data, really understanding what's going on within auctions so that we can take those price dynamics that we learn about and apply them to our machine learning models. That gets to the third piece. If you are an individual publisher or even a conglomeration of publishers, it's going to be really hard for you just with people to make all the changes that you need to your price floors that you need to keep up with the marketplace. So you want to be changing your price floors on probably a daily basis. You want to be setting different price floors for maybe different countries, different browsers. There's a lot of different variables to take into account. How are you going to have those people go in and make those changes all the time? You really can't keep up with it with humans. You ultimately have to get the machines involved. There's a lot of things that have been barriers up until this point, keeping publishers from going in and really doing an effective job of setting up price floors themselves. So this is where Playwire stepped in and said, okay, we're going to have to craft a solution that takes advantage of all of our strengths, that we have that yield ops team, that we have a large data warehouse that's collecting all of the important data, that we have expertise in data science and data engineering that allows us to build and deploy machine learning models.
So what exactly is the price floor controller, and how does it drive publisher success in a way that's never been done before?
So Playwire's price floor controller takes a number of different technologies and skill sets that we have at Playwire and brings them together into a very effective offering. First of all, we've built an enormous data warehouse. That data warehouse is hooked up to all of the scripts that run on our publisher sites. Those are collecting information constantly about how buyers are buying, about what users look like, the kind of information that allows us to build really rich profiles of what makes an advertiser spend lots of money in one circumstance and only want to spend a little bit of money in another circumstance. But additionally, we've built out a data engineering and data science capability at the company, and that's allowed us to deploy machine learning models that are really integral to making all of this work. And finally, we've invested in ways to circumvent some of the limitations of ad servers around things like the number of price floors that you can deploy. Bringing that all together has allowed us to deploy the price floor controller. And the price floor controller is ultimately a system whose job it is to take every single ad request that we receive, look at it carefully, look at it very quickly, and make a prediction about what the best price would be for that individual ad request. We treat every ad request as its own opportunity for accurate pricing. It's kind of like, imagine that you go into the grocery store. If you go to a grocery store and you're buying avocados, all they're doing right now is they're setting the price based on the weight of the avocado. But I go in and I pick through. I'm figuring out which one is just the right ripeness for me. I'm looking for, spots on there that say, oh, this one's not very good. Ideally, the supermarket would actually price those individually. They take into account those additional variables. That's what we're doing, but we're doing it with individual ad requests, and we're doing it at a very detailed level.
What impact has the PFC thus far had in terms of publisher revenue?
So the impact has been pretty profound. First of all, if you think about where things were in the past, it was those 200 price floors that were being applied. Now our machine learning algorithm takes into account so many things that we have 1.2 million price floors being deployed per site per day. It's an enormous increase in the specificity that we can provide. But who cares? Nobody cares about the number of these things. They only care about whether it works, and thankfully it does. What we found is that on a typical website, we see a 20% uplift in page view revenue based on the use of the price floor controller. That's basically to say that you can go from one day where you have the price floor controller off to pressing a button, turning it on, letting it run for say a week, and by the time that you get to the end of that week, you're seeing 20% higher revenue coming in, purely from changes in pricing, not changing who is buying, not changing what you're plugged into, not changing the ad units or their behaviors. Those are all things that can be done as well, but just saying on top of all of that, just by applying careful, thoughtful pricing that's being adjusted constantly, you can get this 20% uplift.
Well, thanks for joining us, Nick. And if you're interested in learning more about our price floor controller, please visit our website.
Learn more at www.playwire.com/price floor controller. Or if you're watching on YouTube, click the link below in the description of this video.